Monday night. That was Monday night. Another steamy night at the ballpark. I mean, I really should have broke out the basketball jersey for that game. It was that hot out there. But
Let the pits
but
fly.
but I will tell you, in front of me, someone was wearing the basketball jersey. So
Oh, that would have been awkward.
You do, yeah. Dressed the same at a baseball game. You're wearing the same thing as me. But it was I moved to 5-1 on the year, which is incredible for a team that's loves to play baseball at one game below or two games below 500 all year. So moved to 5-1. I think I've seen now most of the starting rotation. I've been there for a win. That includes old members of the starting rotation, Vince Velasquez and Dallas Keuchel. So that alone should get me free season tickets for the White Sox. That I saw them have two shutout innings. Total of, I've seen Vince Velasquez, and if you combine Vince Velasquez and Dallas Keuchel, I've seen them pitch a total of 13 2/3 shutout innings. Who else has?
Well,
no one.
I think you might need to go to a Lucas Giolito start at some point to help him out, because that actually leads me into an impromptu asshole question for this week.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you're mentioning your former starting pitchers in your rotation. But with your current setup of 5 starters, would you consider Giolito your worst starter? I mean, my question was going to be, would he make your playoff rotation? Considering most playoff staffs have 4 starters.
Yeah.
But I'm getting ahead of myself because we're far away from the playoffs. And if the playoffs started today, the White Sox would not be in the playoffs. So I wanted to frame that question a little bit differently, in that, is he your 5th best starter right now?
Giolito's, he is the 5th best. Yeah.
I mean, he's got a 5.40 ERA right now with a 156 whip. He's actually at a negative 0.2 WAR, which, he's over a 10 WAR player in 5 years in the league now. So that is uncharacteristic.
He's got a 9 ERA in June.
Yeah.
Before June, his ERA was 2.63. So June has gotten him to 5.4. So yeah, I was going to talk about Giolito today anyway.
Yeah.
So I agree. Your assessment's correct. I don't think if the White Sox were in the playoffs and the playoffs started today, that he'd be on the outside looking in.
I mean, you got
which is crazy when you think about that.
Because you'd start with Cease, then Kopech, assuming his innings were managed properly throughout the season, so he's available in the playoffs.
Big assumption.
Yeah. Lance Lynn, and then Johnny Cueto is
Johnny Cueto, who's 7 innings of shutout ball the other night.
Yeah.
In Houston. I mean, unbelievable.
He might be your most reliable pitcher right now, Cueto. So I think Giolito would be on the outside looking in, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it and just kind of, you seem prepared for it, but
because I wanted to talk about some things with Giolito that I did touch upon last week, because his barrel rate is through the roof right now and stuff like that. And there's a couple different things. One, he's lost a little bit of velocity since coming back from COVID. He's lost velocity on his fastball.
I heard 1 mile an hour, but that sounds minimal, but that could be a lot.
No, it's huge. It's huge. And part of some of what they were talking about, and it was Steve Stone talking about on the broadcast a couple games ago, was that if you don't have enough of a variation between a fastball and a changeup from speed purposes,
sure.
If you're in between, it won't really matter all that much.
Both pitches are affected.
Yeah, both pitches are affected. Giolito, in a lot of cases, was able to ramp his fastball all the way up to 97 miles an hour, to get that strikeout. A rising fastball at 97 miles an hour coming off an 84 mile an hour fastball. Changeup, excuse me, thank you. Would cause some problems. There's a 13 mile an hour difference.
Yeah.
If you're in between, it doesn't matter. Either pitch, you look ridiculous. But I do think Giolito's, because I dug into it. And I want to MLB Baseball Savant is the greatest site for getting to information, like the things you don't see or the things you have questions about. And I think Giolito is right in that he is having a mechanical problem, and here's why.
And I've heard him say this on interviews that he does not feel right. And this was, I think, last weekend on maybe Inside the Clubhouse on 670 The Score.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on record as saying his mechanics aren't right, and he knows it, but clearly he's not able to fix it. But what did you learn?
Well, here's what I learned, and here's the disturbing trend, or the difference between now and like last year and the years before. So his slider in the past has a negative 2.5 dip, a movement.
Oh,
so,
inches?
Okay. Yeah, inches. So, a slider's a pitch you throw to a spot, but it doesn't end up there. So, and one of the things that the effectiveness of his slider, his changeup, and his fastball are working together is that they all come out of the same arm slot.
That's tunneling.
Yes.
Pitching Ninja, if you've ever seen that, illustrates those perfectly.
His slider right now is flat. It's 0.4 on the positive end, basically flat. So all he's doing is throwing a meatball for everyone to hit. So between the beginning of the year and now, it's moved to flat. So that pitch is completely ineffective.
So just like with the fastball and the changeup, those are mitigated because the speeds are similar. And then throwing the slider that's supposed to be moving, and it doesn't even do that. So it's almost like a third pitch that is doing the same thing as the other two, which means you don't have to. You can sit on whatever you want. Boy.
Yeah, even the movement on his fastball, which he throws a rising fastball. Okay, if you lose half an inch on that, those end up in the middle of the plate to be fucking destroyed. And that's what's happened. He was 1.8. Now he's 1.2. And to me, all of that, those are mechanical problems. It's release point issues. But my struggle with this is when he had issues before before the 2018 season, when he was the worst pitcher in baseball, or was it the 2018 season?
2018, where he has over 6 ERA.
Yeah. He went to Ethan Katz to get right. Well, Ethan Katz is there right now.
Yeah.
Well,
in the next 3 years, it worked because the next 3 years, his ERA was like 3.5. So suddenly it's back over 5. So
why can't he get him right? What is it?
And you think a mechanical thing would be the easiest to fix?
Yeah,
that's a grip.
Yeah, because
that's lots of different things with mechanics, but.
So
that they can't identify or solve it is disturbing.
It's super disturbing. I would have thought over the last 5 starts, which have been horrendous, that it would have been fixed by now. And he has these innings where he looks like he's corrected it, and he gets on like cruise control for a little bit. It's like 2 and 3 for sure, and then 4 it starts to get sketchy again. And by the 5th, he's out of the game because he's just throwing meatballs. And, yesterday was Bo Bichette just crushing a ball for a grand salami, which is great for my fantasy team, but not good as a White Sox fan. So I don't know what to say. I don't think he's washed up, but I think there should be more than enough video evidence. You've got the mastermind behind his mechanics there.
Right.
Why? I mean, it's obviously whatever Ethan Katz, whatever voodoo he's done for Johnny Cueto, it's like a reclamation project. I mean, it's crazy. So, and I don't know what to say, but I agree with you. I'm with you. He's not on the playoff roster if they make the playoffs. He's not in the rotation at this point in time. Do I believe we could see a dramatic shift and things could get back to normal? Yeah, because it definitely looks like, from what the data shows, it's a mechanical problem, not like arm problem.
Yeah.
So that was part of my initial concern last week, because I didn't dive into all this, was that it was an arm problem. Like he was just losing velocity, but also mechanics can cause velocity issues too.
Sure.
So yeah. So
well, I got much more than I bargained for this Ask Cole question. Very in-depth analysis. Nicely done.
I was already ready to talk about it. Then I was like sitting here thinking, when you said you had an Ask Cole this week, I'm like, I bet it's about Giolito after yesterday's performance.
Yeah. We've been doing this podcast for too long. 3 full episodes. We know exactly what each other are thinking.
I wore this Giolito no-hitter T-shirt just for this, just for this, to reminisce of the great times of Lucas.
Word Hole Media.